Dr Reena here. I'm a global dental specialist and founder of RW Perio, located at 75 Harley Street. Welcome to Season 3 of my podcast, Life Smile, where we talk about everything dental, lifestyle, business, and much more. Every episode, I'm joining conversation with a specialist expert in their chosen field, who gives us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into their daily regime, career turning points, and an insider look at what they can't live without. As a businesswoman myself, it's so inspiring to hear how people have built their careers and shattered those glass ceilings. This third season is sponsored by Colgate. Committed to sustainability, they're obviously a household name, and as a dental expert, they are my personal fail-safe go-to to ensure my smile is always looking and feeling its healthiest. So, let's get the conversation going. Amongst our guests on Life and Smile, I'm always personally so inspired by the contrasting industries that I'm able to explore and delve deeper into these exclusive conversations. Often image, personal branding, and self-confidence play major roles. As a dental expert myself, gum aesthetics, for example, are at the forefront of specialist dental industry. I was therefore keen to bring forward the topic of aesthetics into this episode and a little closer to the clinical side of things whilst recording here at Harley Street. I'm joined today by one of the most recognizable names within the industry as a renowned cosmetic doctor, highly celebrated and passionate about maintaining incredibly natural results. It is, of course, Dr. Wassim Taktouk. Welcome to the Life and Smile podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a true honor. Thanks for taking the time. So, firstly, let's rewind. Okay, so after moving back to the UK in 2005 from Sydney, you qualified as a GP and spent the following 10 years serving at the emergency department in London's Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. So take us, to day one. How did it all start? Where did it all kick off?
So I moved to Australia. We were the last batch that came out of the old system of medical school. So we're the sort of I'm giving my age away now, but we were the house officer, senior house officer. There wasn't this F1, Q1, P1, whatever they're called now.
Yeah.
So there was very few spaces that we could go to, and there were very few London emergency room jobs, and Australia was an option for me.
Right.
I just kind of, on a whim, me and 4 friends decided to go, and we called up a couple of medical schools, some hospitals, and were accepted, very bizarrely, before we'd sent anything over. It was great. I mean, the joke was on us, obviously, when we got to Australia, and we realized that they had posted us in places that Australians weren't willing to work. So that's why they gave us the jobs. But anyway, I did that for a while, and then I came back, and I had a real dark moment, actually. I wanted to leave medicine altogether. And so I took a little bit of time out. I think from the outset, I'd always been a half in, half out. I wasn't really 100% convinced that there was something within medicine that was for me. Okay. And I kept thinking the longer I stayed in it and the longer that I trained in different specialities, something would finally grab me, but nothing ever did. So I was kind of okay at everything, but never brilliant at anything. That's not saying I'm brilliant at anything now, but I'm just saying that I was a real average sort of person, and nothing really excited me so much. So I came back and I thought, right, I'm going to try something else. And so I decided I was going to work in the city, and then I decided I was going to be working in advertising, and then I realized I didn't know anything about any of those things. And so came back with tail between my legs and decided I was going to find a specialty in medicine. And general practice, I can't believe I'm admitting this, was the shortest. And I thought, I'll just be a GP, because then if I do leave, it's only 3 more years. I'll always come back with a specialty under my belt. So I did GP training. And then I was a GP for about 5 hours before I realized, what on earth am I doing here? And so very quickly the panic started again. And it was quite an interesting time, because it was the time where these urgent care centers were opening up within emergency departments across the UK. And lo and behold, one of my favorite hospitals was recruiting GPs to do that. And actually A&E medicine I quite enjoyed, because there was a bit of acute medicine in it without dealing with chronic illnesses, which I felt was a very administrative paperwork type thing that GPs were doing all the time. I just didn't find it sexy. Like, I don't know. I can't think of a better word. I found it really, really dull. And when I would see GPs, I'd just be like, oh my God, please, I can't be like them. Everyone looks so unhappy. And so this kind of urgent care within emergency medicine kind of had a little bit of both worlds. Yeah. But after 10 years, I think that I was you know, it's sort of, I mean, I'm the randomest things that I'll say, but, you know, you're in a windowless department all through the day. It's just, it's, you know, it's very fast paced. It's all a bit much. And there's not really, you know, you don't really leave. I had kind of felt that when I left general practice, I'd always have to think my patients are going to be back the next week. Whereas what I liked about A&E was I'd leave and that was it. And there'd be another patient next day. But I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that person that goes home and switches off.
Right.
I'd always be thinking, did I do this? Did I do the right thing? So I don't know how much it helped me in terms of my general anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, somewhere along the line, someone came up and said, let's go and do a Botox course. And of course, I was mortally offended. And I said, I'm not a beautician. I might as well be a nail technician, and, you know, all those sort of presumptions and things. And I, you know, I went along, I did some training in toxins and fillers, and I started experimenting with family members and friends and making many mistakes at the beginning. But that's how we learn. And slowly through word of mouth, I got a little bit busier and a little bit busier. It's very, very slow. I mean, we're talking about before the days of social media. So we didn't have Instagram. So, you know, you see a patient, you hope they get a result. No one was talking about it. So no one's telling anyone. So it was a very, very slow drip growth, feed growth. So it eventually got busy enough that I thought, you know what, I can actually drop one of the days in A&E. And then it got busy enough to drop two. And then suddenly the balance was, you know, shall I go to A&E where the first person I call from the waiting room wants to stab me and is furious that they've been waiting, and from the minute I get there, is pissed off with me? Or do I want to do this job where I go to the waiting room and literally they're jumping with joy to see me? And it's just, it's a totally contrast, different. And I think I enjoyed the 10 years. I really did. But I felt at that point, I would like to do something that I really did enjoy. And I felt like I was quite good at it. And so, you know, why not pursue that? So, you know, there were many benefits for me. It was a specialty that was in its infancy, really, as far as I knew. I mean, there were doctors doing, but it's not like now. So, and we had no social media. So there was a lot of learning on your own, and a lot of mistakes I made, and lots of things that I feel like I'm digressing, but that's really how it started. So somewhere along the lines there, I ended up working at the Medispa and Harvey Nichols.
Right.
After that, I moved and worked with Teresa Tami, who is a very well-known and lovely facialist.
Yes.
And then I worked with the brilliant Dr. Rita Rakes at her clinic. But I knew in my heart of hearts, ultimately, I wanted my own space. I think it's one of those things where you just have to have the confidence. And I think I did it the right way. Yep. I think although we say I opened my clinic a year and a half ago, I essentially just moved premises. Like, I had a database that moved there. I don't know that I've been the personality type who could have sat there and say, hello, here's my clinic, and sit by the phone hoping someone calls. Yeah. So I think that worked for me. So
yeah. Well, what a journey. No, it's
and breathe.
No, it's super interesting. I think, and I guess what you said about having that 10 years in the emergency department, I guess you learned skills during that time, which still, I guess you can translate to your day-to-day, although it's contrasting. It's still, you got those skills to manage people, essentially.
Absolutely.
And what did you always want to have your own clinic and do things your own way? What was it that made you kind of get that idea?
I think it was always the dream.
Yeah.
You know, I think dentists are slightly different to doctors, and you're very much more business minded, and you're kind of taught at dental school that this is you're aiming for your own clinic, whereas that's not really an option for us. Right. You know, we jump on the NHS conveyor belt, and if you dare step off, I mean, boy, do they give you the grump. So they're kind of always dissuading you almost. So we're not really encouraged to do that, and that's probably why there was such a delay. It was always the dream, but I always felt nervous. I felt when I left the NHS that I was going to be judged. Right. Because there is a certain culture within the NHS that does not make you feel very good about pursuing other things or working in the private sector. And I understand that, you know, all in it together, but, you know, there is also a time to step off the treadmill or the conveyor belt if it's not working for you anymore. Because if you're not inherently happy, I don't want to be treated by a doctor who's miserable, right? I want a doctor who's going to jump up with joy, who's going to do their best because they're happy to see me and they love what they do.
Exactly.
And I think it got to a point where I just wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
So the dream was there, and I think the experiences and watching and learning, watching different people's businesses, and I have friends who are dentists, and a bit of encouragement from them. And then it just felt like a quite a low risk thing. I had my patient database. Like, unless they were going to walk in and say, this is an ugly clinic, they're not going to really leave me. So that was, as
you said, you technically built your clients already before you
exactly.
Technically, you just the premises that you needed.
Totally. And it was my rules. my way of seeing patients.
Yeah.
There are many things that I saw along the way that I didn't like, and many things that I picked up that I did like. I mean, I think I definitely have a little bit of PTSD from A&E days. I can't walk into a waiting room and see more than 2 people waiting for me. It makes, even if they're happy to see me, it makes me very anxious. And so, my appointments are a set time. No one really ever overlaps. And if there's 2 people in the waiting room, I literally am like shaking. So not like crazy, like smashing things, like shaking, like I've done something bad, So, at my own pace, I see enough people. I do a long day. I work 5-6 days a week because I teach as well. But, when it's your own space, you're not dictated by anyone else's timetable. It's not like, can you do this Monday? Can you do this? It's, I'm the boss. I'll pick these days. And that's how it works. So that's a nice feeling to work towards when you're at that point where you can say, I'm not going to work Mondays. I'm going to work Sundays. I mean, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like
it's your own timetable, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you have anywhere else
in
NHS medicine. So
completely agree. I think when I started my clinic, that's literally the exact same reasons. You want to do things your own way and have control, and the service, even the smallest things when I was an associate, it used to annoy me. And I'm like, I wish I could change it, but you just don't have that control.
And people pick up on it. People pick up if you're happy in what you do. People feed off your energy
for sure.
You come in sort of slumped and like call someone from the waiting room like that. You're already off on a bad foot. So I think when we're so happy in what we've done and we feel in control and we're doing it our way, you're inherently doing a better job.
And that translates to your team, I guess, as well. And the energy rubs off. So, no, for sure. And I was in hospital, not for 10 years, but for half of that at King's, which I used to love. But then there got to a point where I was like, you start to not enjoy it. And I think you're so right. You have to listen to yourself and say, it is hard. And people will say things like, are you sure you want to leave the NHS? Are you sure you want to leave hospital care? Because there are people that absolutely love it, will do it for a lifetime. But you've got to listen to your inner voice. I completely agree.
100%. I'm glad you did that too.
Thank you. So
we are patting each other's back.
Thank you. Exactly. So your impressive background has seen you to be the go-to for some of the industry's most discerning faces, and you've gained many accolades from international press, including Tatler, Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, ES, and The Guardian, including many, many more. So talk us through your kind of current favorite treatments at the moment.
I think the bread and butter always will be, and it's what I've always enjoyed the most, and that is Botox and fillers. I mean, that's what I've always loved. I have a specific interest in fillers. I love the instantaneousness, is that even the word, of the results. And Botox I love doing, but I hate that I can't see the result, and I hate that I sort of send them off, and unless they're unhappy, you never really see them again. So you just assume everyone's happy. You never really get to see your work. So there's something very immediate and satisfying about seeing your filler result.
Yes.
Whereas you just kind of, I haven't heard from them, so they're fine. So you assume the Botox patients happy. So that's always been my bread and butter. But I've always, stepped out a little bit and different things. And I think the last year or so, I've been really, really interested in skin as a whole.
Okay.
I work alongside Professor Faraz Al-Niemi, who is the laser king. He's absolutely brilliant and incredibly, really, really a wonderful, ethical doctor and so helpful and inspiring. And Dr. Christine Hall also works alongside me, who is almost sort of exactly mirrors my my training, general practice, A&E, with a background she's on pharmacy, and Dr. Pamela Benito, who does threads. But we all learn from each other, and I've definitely had a surge in my interest of skin quality, because ultimately it doesn't matter how much Botox you put in someone's face or how much filler you do. If their face looks like a raisin and it's just, it's not looking shiny and healthy and glowy, does it really matter? And I think actually if you had 10 people in the room and they were all the same age, the person that would stand out to me would be the person with the bright glowing skin, personally. And I think that's something that I kind of, it's almost like I thought that was the dermatologist's role rather than me, but having now working so closely with the dermatologist and with my own personal sort of intrigue and interest with it, that's something that I've been doing a lot more. So in a long about answer to your question, what I'm enjoying at the moment is doing a lot of laser resurfacing.
Okay.
So that's been something that we're really, really keen on doing in the clinic. So it's that added, it's your canvas. It's the first thing you see when you speak to someone. So the skin has to look tip top. Anything underneath is secondary. So resurfacing with CO2 lasers, the cool peel is what it's called. But I love it.
And there's more and more demand for that, I guess, now.
Yeah, I think so. But I think also you still have people who coming in who are terrified by Botox and filler. I mean, I'd be terrified by the word laser, but they're terrified by Botox and filler because they've seen very deformed, very, very maybe don't use that word, very, very unusually enhanced features in others. And I think that's what they immediately associate with it. And I think there are some people who you just cannot get through to them that we are going to do something natural. So then the focus has to go to their skin.
Yes.
And actually, you know what? Then if I can resurface your skin a bit, I can make these deep lines a bit softer, and you won't lose expression, and I won't volumize your face. So there's a great place for it. And actually, all of these layers are tying very nicely together. So I think
sounds great. Sounds interesting. So as a regular
I've never done a podcast before.
You're amazing. You're absolutely brilliant. Talking about faces in the media. So you've been on lots of BBC documentaries. You're on The Truth About Cosmetic Treatments, ITV's This Morning, and you always look flawless. I know this is a podcast. Your skin is definitely glowing. But do you have any tips kind of in terms of being in front of the camera? Anything on that note?
I think it's always... Some people are just comfortable and some people are not. So that you can't change that in anyone.
Sure.
But for those who are uncomfortable, and actually I'm one of them, I do get very, very nervous. I think you mustn't over prepare.
Okay.
And you have to forget that, there's crews in the room. There's a cameraman, there's a guy with the sound and this and that all over the place. You kind of have to ignore them and try and meet with the person who's going to be on screen with you a little bit beforehand. So when the time of the filming happens, it's not so awkward and you will feel a little bit more comfortable. And I think that's one of the main things. Just be yourself. And if it doesn't come naturally to you, then there are sort of media training things that you can do. But I think don't let that filming day be the day that you first meet the people around you, because it's going to go horribly wrong. And even things like, oh shit, I swore, oh my God, I just said that sounded so crap. And you're sort of feeling, oh my God, all these people are sitting here waiting for me to get it right. And actually they're not, they don't care, that's their job. But if you had met them before, you wouldn't feel so awkward about messing up so much. So a lot of your anxieties are lessened by just being familiar with the people around you. Another thing I recommend you do is when you are mic'd up to not go to the loo, because everyone with the headphones can hear everything. Especially, I learned the hard way. I was very anxious as well, so you can imagine what was going on.
No.
So it wasn't a great sound, and thankfully didn't make it into the documentary. I think those two things, and I think you either like it or you don't. I think if you do it once and you hate it, you're probably never going to like it again. So I think it's worth a shot for everyone. I think if it gives you so much anxiety, it's not
worth it.
But I think probably the main thing is don't over prepare and just be really familiar with the people. So I did something most recently with model / actress type thing, and actually they arranged a call ahead of it beforehand, and it was that call that made me totally fine when we came in and did the recording. So I think that's it. Just be familiar, and don't let it be the first time that you come across their paths being on camera.
No, great advice. So you have a dedicated social media following, and of course we're now in the time where digitalization and consumerism demand for instant access has changed how we work and communicate. And you mentioned, at the start there wasn't even Instagram when you started using Botox, and now it's literally what everyone talks about and they're on constantly. So how has it impacted your day-to-day role? Do you feel it enables you to interact more personally with your audience, your patients, industry experts? Or, how do you make the most of social media? What's your opinion on it?
I was really anti it, to be honest. So when I started working at the Medispa and Harvey Nichols, it was something that was asked of us. And I remember exactly what I said. I said, I can't think of anything worse. I'm just not interested in any of this nonsense. I will never be interested in it. But sure enough, we had to sort of build profiles and do that. So I did join. I think it was 2007, or I don't know what it was. And, I put up a crap picture and I probably screenshotted something and put it up there. And they were just really lame in the beginning. A couple of before and afters. And I was just doing it sort of quite half-heartedly just to do something. A couple of quotes here and some crappy jokes here. And I had 3 followers and it was just all a bit disheartening. And I think... and I had come from a good 10 years or 8 years before of getting patients in a perfectly organic way. Even now, 80%, 90% of patients are still the original word of mouth. They're the core, maybe not that many, but they're the core, and they were from before. Social media is dangerous to some degree because it brings in a certain type of patient as well that's very, very tricky. They're always mostly wonderful, but there is that sort of that abyss of attracting sometimes a certain type of patient. Anyway, I digress. I started with the social media, and then slowly I realized that people don't interact with a before and after picture, and people don't care about namaste posts, right? So all this kind of nonsense, like, I'm happy, I'm free, like all that kind of crap that you was putting up there was not getting any kind of traction. And once in a while, I put up a picture of myself doing something silly or whatever it may have been, and I noticed that was getting a bit more attraction, because people communicate with people. They don't care about a pair of lips. So very slowly, I kind of saw where the interest was, and actually, maybe people did actually care about what I had to say. I didn't know what I had to say, but there was certainly a spike when there was a human face on it, whether it be me or me and a colleague, whatever it may have been. And slowly, I think it took a while to shape it, but I really now love it. I love doing it. It fulfills a real creative side to me that I don't feel I ever accessed. I wanted to be an actor when I was younger. I wanted to do, I was in this, and my, Middle Eastern parents, there wasn't a chance that was going to happen. So that kind of stuff and performing kind of stuff is stuff that I've actually always loved and suppressed. So I think somehow within social media, I found, quite a fun way of expressing myself. That sounds really lame, but that is what it is. And I know my social media is vastly different to other practitioners. I know that quite a few practitioners find it weird and don't understand why I have any patients, because I'm a clown on social media, but I'm not using it to draw patients. No. I'm doing it because I enjoy the things that I do. I'm perfect. I'm sensible. I'm not sensible. I'm perfectly attuned to the fact that what I'm putting out there is not going to make someone think, oh my God, he's a worldwide surgeon. Like, it's me clowning around, but that's my personality. Yeah. And I also think that it will draw a certain type of patient if they are going to come through social media, who will probably be a lot like me. Yeah. So I don't want stiff patients who are going to be uptight and, full of litigation and sort of whatever it may be. I want really relaxed people who could probably end up being my friends. Yeah. And actually through social media, I chat to my patients a lot of the time. I chat to people who follow me and they really make me laugh. Sometimes they give me the story ideas. Like, it's like I have this, these writers in there saying, do this. I'm like, of course. I mean,
amazing.
Literally jump
You're
how
running
high.
Your own production.
So I've really enjoyed it. And does it bring me patients? Yes, it does. Does it bring me deluges of patients? No, but I'm perfectly happy at my pace. And I think with social media, I remember at the beginning thinking, one of my colleagues at Harvey Nichols, when I had sort of like, I remember putting a post saying, yay, I've hit 500 followers. And, she was on like 6 digits or something. And I was like, I just don't understand how you do it. Like, this is so tedious. Like, I can't keep putting pictures of lips. And when you watch it grow, and it's quite satisfying because people are listening to you. And I don't care about numbers. I just care that they're going up. Yeah. Right. So like, as long as no one's leaving and saying this guy's a monkey, like, that's fine. As long as the trend is in the right way, the overall number doesn't matter, because within that number, I know how many are engaging with me. And I think the bigger it gets, it's very difficult to have any kind of connection with the people who are following you. So there, if you enjoy it, I don't know how you would do it with that number. So, so it works really nicely for me, and I do love it now.
And you do an amazing job, I have to say. I love watching your stories, and that explains the whole actor thing. Because I was like, you literally could be an actor, and it's so creative. And I think that's the thing. I think people actually want to know you as the person, because you are the brand, really. And you're a normal human, very funny and witty. So I think you do it beautifully well.
I think there's no surprises then when you come and see the docs, and you're like, oh my God, he's so rude. He's so not like how I imagined. Well, you haven't got. That's exactly how I am. So so I think that stops that.
Yeah, for sure. And as you said, you kind of hit it down the head. You've got to enjoy it. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. You might as well not do it.
100%.
And I agree, social media isn't for everyone. And I think if it's not for you, it's totally fine as well.
I think listen, it's either blessing or a burden. It's one of the two things. And if it's a burden, fine. But don't not be on it. Yeah. So there are practitioners that I meet who say, oh, I can't be bothered. I'm not a chance. I'm like, you can't not have one. So you have to have something that's the way of the world. Like someone says this person's good. The first thing they do is they check their social media or their website. If you're not on there, you're really a nobody. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are. That's sadly how the generation now does. There's no more word of mouth. No. It's social media. Within 2 seconds, you've texted 5 doctors. That was your consultation. They've answered you back. That process took months before you go and see 3-4 different specialists. It's a really thought out process. So they have to be present. But if you can infuse your personality into it and not have someone manage it for you, I think that's better.
Yep.
Because ultimately,
It's authentic.
I don't know. I don't know. It's very difficult when you really enjoy it. If someone doesn't,
Yep.
I have to respect that and understand
Yep.
that you can't really make them like it. But
Yep.
I think the bottom line is at least have a presence.
For sure. But I do agree, word of mouth is always the strongest and most powerful and valuable. And I think it will probably always will be, I guess. So you've done quite a lot in your career so far. What would you say is your proudest moment today?
I think definitely my proudest moment was opening my clinic. It had been a pretty stressful year prior to that, and a lot of things that weren't going well suddenly, I don't know, through the powers that be, twisted very favorably for me, and this really great outcome came out of a really dire situation. So, and I think, putting the plaque on the wall and having my late father come and see it, hands down, there's never been a happier moment for me in my life. So amazing. It was a really special time, and I think my background is my dad lived in Africa, and he would come backwards and forwards to see us, and when you don't see someone that regularly, like you kind of condense it, you're almost like a little kid still with them. And I'm like, hey, Dad, my clinic, like, and
for sure.
He's like, you're in your 40s, mate. Like, take the pacifier out. but that was a really, really magical time. And he couldn't see very well, and he couldn't really get up the stairs, but he did, and then he came a few times afterwards. So that whole time was really, really lovely. So I think that's special, hands down, probably. If that's my last good achievement for the rest of my life, I am totally content. Totally content. So that's so nice. and then I guess I do dabble in a lot of different things. So I have an academy, and as do you, and I'm really proud of that, because I went. Me and Dr. Tara Francis went against the grain of how things are being taught regularly, and we came from a very, very different. I feel. I mean, people may disagree, but we came from a slightly different angle of. I've done it. Like, I started 10, 12, 13 years ago, and no one really helped me. No one gave. I didn't know anything, and it's through all the mistakes that I made, I can show you all of this and all the things that worked for me, and probably save you a lot of time. Like, if I could go back and condense those years, I could probably got to where I got to a lot faster, but I didn't know these things. No one was really telling me what to do. And so I think I like that. I like that we're able to do that. So in answer to your question, my proudest moment was opening my clinic.
That's so nice. So lovely. And I'm sure there'll be lots many more proud moments to come, I'm sure. So going back to actually, like, what advice would you give to others? So someone's starting off in your career, and I know you said there was no one there at the time. What is your advice to your students in the academy, and someone just kicking off? Is there anything different you would have done second time around?
I think the first thing is probably the same fear I had when I started, which was there's too many of them.
Right.
Like, there's too many of these doctors. They're all well known. There is never going to be a place for me. And there were a lot of them. It's just that now more of them because there's social media. There were a lot of doctors then.
Right.
Everyone's getting older. Everyone's wanting treatments. They're not taboo anymore. So there is an opportunity for everyone. So the first thing is, don't panic. Right. If you really want to do it, you will be successful in it, because you will always find patients. You will always find someone who will train you, someone who will mentor you, who will guide you. So that's the first thing, is don't be disheartened. If it's something you really want to do, you will achieve it.
Right.
Fact. And you have many things now that are to your advantage: the social media, the training, the structure. There's enough people who've done it in front of you and are happy to tell you. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, going back, I think, and this is it's not a criticism or a complaint of our industry, but I don't necessarily think that people are very helpful to one another in aesthetic medicine, and it's a really sad. I've come from an A&E background, or urgent care, where I totally rely on my colleagues and discussing and collaborating and sharing and helping. And so it's been very foreign to me to come out into an industry that I enjoy so much that doesn't always feel that people are very supportive. And I think it's really, really sad. And I think that is also one of the reasons that people start when they're starting are put off by it because it seems very unattainable. People feel very unapproachable, and it doesn't need to be that way. And actually, I remember everyone who was difficult around me, and I remember everyone who helped me, and I know exactly which I'd rather be like. And so I think help one another is a really, really, really big thing. Stay in your lane, forget about the person in the lane that's fast, and look behind you at the person who's a bit slower. And if everyone does that, it's totally, totally going to work. I think you can be so dissuaded by seeing things and thinking they're unattainable, but they are.
Yeah.
And people will make you feel that, oh, you don't deserve it, or oh, how come you did this? And you experience that in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change. I think surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yes.
Go to conferences. Stay in touch with people. If you don't like them, don't stay in touch with them. But if you do like them, make the effort, because it's lonely. It's a very isolated specialty. There's no formal training, as it were, that's years long where there's a structure. So it is a little bit build your own along the way. So I feel like I keep going off on tangents.
No, it's super interesting. I mean, the topic of supporting each other, I mean, it's so important.
I'm sure it's in dentistry. I'm sure it happens across the board.
And I think it's sad when people don't, and it's such, it's such a small industry. There's not many of us, and when you don't support people hear about it. So it's really important to, and as you said, stay in your lane. You're not going to, supporting each other is only going to bring you both more benefits. So
totally.
Completely agree. And we mentioned before, talking about before we started recording the podcast, talking about mentors and things like that, and you talk about your academy. So tell us more. So I was going to ask you, do you have a mentor? What inspires you? Because you seem pretty energetic and you're super inspired every single day. So what keeps you going then?
I was really, really thinking about this because I dread this question. I don't actually have a mentor. So there's people, I respected my dad. I knew he worked hard. I knew he did really, really well out of it. There's not really anyone whose career I wanted to duplicate. There's not anyone who I felt was willing to mentor me. And I was kind of very happy, plodding along and learning in my own way. I love to be a mentor to people. I love teaching. I love helping people. I love, not in the medical school interview way, in terms of someone starting, in this career, what do I do? And this. And when they do well, I get so excited.
Yeah.
So that I love that. And so I don't, in answer to your question again in a long-winded way, I don't have a mentor, but I hope that I am a mentor or can be a mentor to others. It's certainly something that we've started this year within our academy. So we offer mentorship now. Because I do think even with all the training that they do, you still feel a little bit isolated. And you can do a lot of, hey, listen, guys, stay in touch, ask us. But people still feel shy. They feel, oh, this guy's really, really busy. I finished the course today. I don't really want to bother him. But you should.
Yeah.
And I've told you to. And I've told you I'm going to help you. So I think making that a much more formal offering and saying, listen, this is the mentorship program. So you can't say at the end of the year, no one was going to help you. We're right here just to do that. So that's something that we've started this year, and I'm really, really proud of that. Who's your mentor? Back to you.
I'm
doing all the talking.
No, it's really interesting. I think
words rarely uttered from my mouth.
Well, I think the point that you've set up this academy with the mentorship program is absolutely brilliant, because as you said, having a mentor is basically saving you 10 years worth of mistakes, and you can say, this is the road I took. Make sure you take the left here. Watch out for this. And you can get there much quicker. So I think it's super important. So I think it's great you guys do that. So let's bring you back to day to day. Okay. So obviously you mentioned about your clinic, you mentioned about your academy. So how does it work? What's your kind of day to day routine? Do you have a set week? How does it all pan out?
So the week for me, I mean, there's obviously the answer I'd like to say, which is I get up at 6:30 and I have green juice and I do Pilates. So no, none of that happens. I get up, I go to work. We have a meeting, so so within the week, we always have a LAM call. So I'll speak to Tara, our manager, update on that. So there's time allocated to the academy.
Right.
There is time allocated to my team.
Yep.
So we'll have a meeting just to make sure everything's on schedule.
Right.
I also do some teaching for Tioxan. I'm one of, so if there's anything that I have to do with relation to that has to be fine. I juggle quite a few things, actually. It's one of the things that worry me. I always sometimes worry if I'm spreading myself too thin. But I'm not someone who's able to say no, which doesn't help. But so I'll do 4 clinic days a week.
Okay.
And I'll teach 1 to 2 days a week.
That's a lot.
So sometimes it'll be one day, but my working week is 5 days, whichever way you look at it. Clinic is from 9 till 6. I feel like there should be much more sexiness to this answer. I'm trying to think, what else do I do?
That's a lot. How do you stay energized?
I don't.
Because teaching, I know.
My God, it's exhausting.
It's really exhausting.
Yeah.
And then so is clinic as well.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on point all the time.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And having that, we're talking about mentoring and this and that. Like the first thing I'd say to them is you need to have a work-life balance, because it will catch up on you like you've never known. And I've reached periods of complete exhaustion on that. And so this year I am going to drop another day and try and work. I don't know, but something has to change, because I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really happy, but I'm very conscious that at one point it could be tipping point and I could actually end up not liking what I do. Yes. And that's the last thing I ever want. So
for sure.
What else happens?
What about how do you, because I know some people are quite strict on, even if they have a solid week, they'll block out holiday time every few months. Do you have a regime for that, or do you see how you feel?
So as of last year, I plan on taking every single August off in its entirety, and I don't care if no one wants to go on holiday with me. I will get in the car like I did last year and drive somewhere, because I think it's really, really difficult to get groups of friends to agree to go on holiday at the same time, and it's always Wassim's being difficult. So in the end, I was like, you know what? I'll take all of August off from now. Can you just, all of you, decide when it's going to be? But of course, no one can agree on anything. So I ended up taking these big Augusts off, waiting for people to give me their dates. And they never did. So last year I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to take the whole month off. I'm not going to go back in the days in between. And I did.
Amazing.
And actually, and I think that's I think I learned something, and that's that I can't wind down in 1 week. I can't wind down in 2 weeks. I'm just about starting to wind down at week 3. And so that's something I never realized. And I'd always say, I've gone away for 2 weeks. Why am I so tired?
Right.
Of course, when we go on holiday, I'm like an animal, out to every bar I can. It's like an animal out of a cage, and you come back from the holiday and you feel even worse. So you have to have that time to get that out of your system, and then some downtime, and then some rest. You've got to come back rejuvenated. Otherwise, absolutely no point. Yeah. It's just prolonging the torture of work. So I do try to take chunks of time out. Yeah. And I'm getting better at it. And I'm not waiting for people to agree on dates. I'm just doing what I want.
That sounds completely sensible. But no, you're so right. You hear people when they go on holiday and then they come back, I need another holiday. And it's like, it's probably just not long enough. But
it just tells you how stressed we are without to have to release like animals. When you get there, I mean, my God, I think the last time I went on holiday, I think it was the first night we went out. I think I consumed my body's weight in tequila. I had like alcohol poisoning for like 5 days. It's just not normal. Let's take that bit out of the podcast.
So we always ask our guests this question. So 3 things we can always find on your desk or your clinic desk as part of your mini survival kit. 3 things that you've got to have with you all the time. What would they be?
3 things that would be on my desk. My phone.
Okay.
So the honest answer is going to be this. It's going to be my phone.
Yes.
Which is turned face down.
Right.
Because that's the agreement about the team have said I can only have my phone next to me. I'm literally on rations if it's face down. So that's there. And so that's one thing that's always on my desk. There's a photo of my dad and me on my desk. And probably the third thing that's always on my desk is expired vitamins or something that I picked up along the way. Some, on those health kits. I'm going to take vitamin D2 every day and this and that and this and that. And they're sitting there collected. There's a pile of them and they probably will expire. And I don't throw them away because I keep thinking one day I'll think to take them. Yeah. So those 3 things are always on my desk. I feel like there should be something a bit more controversial on my desk, but that's about it.
No, that's sadly brilliant. That's brilliant. Listen, I know you're super busy, so I just want to say thank you so much. What a brilliant conversation.
Thank you.
I'm sure all the listeners will be super interested in everything you've had to say and so inspirational and of everything you've done so far, and I'm sure many more things to come along the way. Where can we follow you? Of course, Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I haven't been able to crack TikTok, although my account is Taktouk on TikTok. I mean, it was genius, but I have like 4 followers. So don't bother with TikTok. I'm on Instagram and Dr Wassim Taktouk, and my clinic is at Taktouk Clinic.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure we will see you again soon.
Thank you so much. That was so fun. Really, thank you so much.